Our society encourages us never to stop. I read an email today from a coffee shop that wanted me to go in and buy a drink for double points, and the email began, "It's great to pause on the go." Now, I don't even really know what that means, but what was clear was that the marketing brains behind this email didn't have the courage to say, "Stop, interrupt your routine, come get a drink," because they knew that what would sell more drinks is if their customers felt like that they could get a drink on the go without interrupting their busy schedules. In the recent survey that I sent out, I asked people to identify which words they would use most often to describe a normal week. And this is the word cloud that came out of the more negative words. And the bigger the word, the more people chose that word as a description that they would use regularly for their week. We are a busy, hurried, and a stressed community. And so it seems so hard to cease completely for a whole day. It seems impossible, but also jarring and difficult. It's not our normal speed. It's so hard to put the brakes on. Jesus told us that the most important commandment was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind. And what we do daily influences what we love with our heart and how we think with our minds and our spiritual orientation. Work is good. The things that we do daily can be good. And we're told to love our neighbour, to get involved with the world around us in the same way that Jesus did. But Jesus, even the Son of God, regularly took time to get away from the crowds, from the hustle and bustle of the town. He would stop his miracles and his teaching, his work, and he would go and spend time with his Father. And God knew that we all needed a day each week to step back and stop our normal work and activity in order to reorient our hearts and our minds and our souls towards him. Otherwise, we'd be incapable of loving him properly, because there would be so many other things competing for our love. I want to suggest 3 areas that we can cease each week in order to be able to not get swept away by the world's values. Firstly, we need to cease being productive. A friend of mine was recently given extra projects by work, and he was paid in advance, given money in order to do this work. But when he realised that it was having a negative effect on his mental health and his family life, he called up his boss and he said, "I'm giving you back the money. I don't want these projects. It's not worth it." And his boss laughed, because to our society it's laughable to turn down work, to turn down money. The world makes us believe that we must work hard to earn our reputation and our place in the world. A success-driven society leads us to believe that when we fail to be productive, we are undeserving. In contrast, the Sabbath calls us to cease so that we can appreciate God's grace. And as Marva Dawn says, remember that we are precious and honoured in God's sight and loved, profoundly loved, not because of what we produce. In order to practice the Sabbath, we need to think about which areas do we need to allow ourselves to stop being productive in one day a week. Is it our paid work? Is it our housework, our voluntary work, our leisure activities that are actually all about achieving and becoming better and winning and producing results? Is it our support of others? Even Jesus stopped supporting others occasionally to go spend time with his Father. Secondly, we need a chance to cease being possessive. A businessman once went on holiday to a coastal town. There he met a fisherman. The fisherman would go out each morning during the week on his little, fairly rugged boat. He'd come back, sell most of his catch, go home to his little house, cook some of the fish to share with his family, and spend the afternoon with them, playing with his kids and chatting to his wife. The businessman approached him one day and said, "Why do you only go out for the morning? If you fished all day long, you would catch more." The fisherman replied, "But why do I need to catch more?" The businessman laughed and said, "Isn't it obvious? If you catch more, you will sell more. Then you'll have more money and you'll be able to buy a bigger boat and eventually hire men and catch even more and make even more money." The fisherman replied, "But why would I want more money, a bigger boat, or hired men?" The businessman proudly replied, "If you have more money, you could be like me and pay to go away on holiday for a couple of weeks each year to wonderful parts of the world and have fun with your family." The fisherman looked confused. "But I already live in a wonderful place and I get to spend time having fun with my family every day of the year." Consumerism has caused havoc in our society, with levels of inequality and exploitation rising as some accumulate more and more at the expense of others, driven by the myth of scarcity that says there isn't enough for everyone, and if you don't possess more, then you'll lose out. We accumulate more possessions even when it doesn't make sense. We've lost perspective. Sabbath provides a break from this, not by ignoring material possessions, but by dethroning them. In order to practice the Sabbath, we need to think about what habits do we need to stop. One day a week, so that possessions don't become our gods. So that our clothes, our houses, our cars, our toys, our food, and all our other possessions get put back into their proper place. Could it be that we need to consider ceasing one of these activities for one day a week? Whether it be shopping or making things or cleaning things or tidying things or fixing things, cultivating things, driving. To retrain ourselves to love God with our whole heart and mind and soul. Thirdly, we need to cease participating in the systems of anxiety. As we resist the urge to produce and to possess, we also resist the urge to worry. Will I have enough? Will I get everything done? Am I good enough? The Sabbath calls us to trust God instead of ourselves. And if we don't cease, we'll be caught in the rat race which says to us, it all depends on us and our own ability to support ourselves. One of the main ways we're kept as slaves of the system of anxiety is through adverts, through the news, through social media, and the messages given through films and TV programs. A number of people that I know have come off social media sites altogether because they realised it had a negative impact on their mental health and their outlook on life. And quite a lot of people I know have also stopped watching the news because of its negative agenda and the way that it made them fearful. The Sabbath gives us an opportunity to have a break, to shut all this down for one day a week. So we don't necessarily stop it altogether, we're still involved. We want to be salt and light there. For some people it's right to shut it down altogether. The Sabbath gives us an opportunity to do that once a week and benefit from the freedom and alternative perspective that God can bring to life. Could you perhaps consider taking a step back from certain media outlets one day each week? Turning off my phone has been great for this, because I don't even think it's not an option to go on that social media site. It's not an option to look at the news. Next week, we're going to look at how we can rest on the Sabbath and why we might do this and different practical ways that we can do that really well, to rest well. But I want to leave you with this Sabbath poem from Gideon Hugh. And you might like to read it to yourself as you're starting your next Sabbath, as you're thinking, trying to persuade yourself it's a good idea to cease certain habits and to turn off certain technology. Read this poem to yourself. This day doesn't need your achievement. The world has had enough of performance and endeavour. What life desires most is the measured breaths of the unhurried, the close attention of the quiet and the still, the gentleness that comes from being content with what you have.